Hey y'all, it is September the 25th, 2019, and I thought I would check in with y'all with just a short video and stuff, I came back from being banned, popped back up yesterday, and I got a lot of love. Everybody out there, I'm trying to respond to all the comments. I appreciate you. Know that and stuff, and I'm glad to be back on my bigger channel, but of course, you might want to subscribe to the other channel because I'll be banned before you know it. And in fact, on the other channel, I am going to upload a video just so that you know. Right now, it's not going to be on this channel. I'm going to upload a video on the other channel, Gerard Is Autastic, and it's going to be somewhat dealing with the Caitlin Nicole Davis thing, not directly, actually, but it's a video that I cut maybe a week ago and I forgot to upload it. Alright, in reference to a man that you probably never heard of named Jared Wilson took his life. I believe on September the 9th, and it was actually very, very peculiar. The reason I say Caitlin Nicole Davis is because we're working on showing people how and why to not take their life. You know what I'm saying? I know that that's going to be a very prevalent thing. It's already a prevalent thing, and in the near future it's going to be a more prevalent thing amongst the youth, and I'd rather it not be. Alright, I want to shout out to everybody out there, and know that I appreciate y'all no matter what it is you believe in and stuff, as long as you can agree on certain things with me, like having manners and not hating America and stuff like that. Alright? And speaking of that, I did want to bring up, some of y'all might have seen Donald Trump, and he was all up in the UN, alright? And he was talking that trash against globalism. Now, a lot of people out there, especially in my group of buddies on the internet, they tend to think that everything's a simulation, and everything's a trick. And the thing is, I'm not going to argue against you on that one necessarily. You know, if that's what you believe, I can definitely see why you believe that. For sure I can. But, you know, if we're going to, I guess, look at things like it's the Game of Thrones or something, you know how you watch a show, or some people watch shows, I don't, but some people watch shows and they get lost in it, and they follow certain characters, and they want certain characters to succeed and certain ones to not succeed, all right? Well, let's say this is all simulation, right? Say Donald Trump is just an actor and he's putting on a show. All right, he's my favorite actor, to be honest with you. Everything that he's saying is kind of like a Ron DeSantis, you know? That might all be a show, but however, everything he's saying is exactly what I would want him to say. All right, and he keeps doing it, and he won't stop doing it. And for that matter, I do have to put my emphasis behind him and my support behind him. He just keeps saying what I want him to say. All right, and granted, it could all be a simulation. It could all be a trick. But I tend to not think so. But if you do think so out there, then God bless you. I mean, that's what people think. Speaking of which, speaking of tricksters and simulations, I know a lot of people don't like this. All right, but I'm going to keep rapping it, all right? Because here's the thing. Alex Jones keeps saying what I want him to, which is like freedom, loving babies, keeping your guns, and things of that nature. He may be an actor, but I sincerely doubt it. I sincerely doubt it. But if he was an actor, irregardless, he just keeps saying what I want him to say. All right? And I appreciate that. But the rest of this video, I wanted to touch upon one of my main dudes out there, and there's going to be a link below to him as well. And I just can't stop repping him. He's my older brother, you know. He's doing it big, like I couldn't even think to do it on his channel, and never enough subscribers, because he's sincerely censored, even more so than myself, and that would be Joseph Callan. He's the man with the plan. He's the guy to look at always. And if you haven't heard me say it before, like I said, there's a link below. And he does a lot of stuff pertaining to a lot of stuff, but especially Parkland. If you go through his archive, oh man, does he do stuff that I don't even have time to do, and I wish I did. He says he appreciates me. I don't know that he can appreciate me more than I appreciate him. I don't know that that's possible. All right, but he'll ask all the little nitty gritty questions that you're supposed to ask when it pertains to Parkland. Now, as we were discussing, a lot of people think that things are simulations and it's a trick. So people think, oh, this is 100% hoax. In fact, all these mass shootings are 100% hoax. All right. And I could see why they're saying that. I could see why they're thinking that. It's not absurd to think that, really. I don't tend to think that. I think a lot of it's tomfoolery. I think a lot of it is absolute hoaxery. All right. But that's not to say it's 100% hoaxery, not from what I've seen. I mean, that's just how I think about it. That's from what I've seen. Trust me, I've been looking at it for hundreds of hours ever since February 14th, 2018. I've been looking at it, all right? I've been studying different angles of it, and it's just ridiculous, all right? But there's 3 points that I wanted to bring up as far as Parkland. And I brought them up before, but I just want to keep them fresh on people's minds. Before I touch on the 3 points, I understand that this case may go to trial, and if it does, it's going to be a damn circus because nothing adds up. All right, nothing at all. So they have to leave out all sort of details if they're going to go through a case. This is why the public defender attorneys they don't want a death penalty case, because a death penalty case would absolutely mean that details would have to come out. All they want to do is simply lock their little client up forever and ever and not even have to bring up nothing. And you got to ask yourself why that is. But as far as the 3 points that I wanted to bring up, and I brought them up before, but I think they're essential. Before I do that, feel free in the bottom, in the comments below, to bring up points that you think might be essential if you've been studying the Parkland whole thing, the Marjory Stoneman Douglas thing like that. Go ahead and bring up what you think is the most essential points to bring up, all right? Because all y'all out there, y'all bring up some angles that, you know, sometimes come from out of nowhere and things that I didn't even think about, and I very much appreciate you on that. All right, but number one, like I've been saying, everybody wants to blame Scott Peterson with 1T. Deputy Scott Peterson, the guy who's supposed to be the security officer on campus that day. Everybody wants to blame him and stuff like that. It's been like that. He's been in the spotlight this entire time almost. Meanwhile, you got a Jeffrey Morford, an assistant principal Jeffrey Morford, and also to include Kelvin Greenleaf, who's some sort of security specialist, right? You need to know, if you're concerned about this whole situation, you need to know where they were at during this whole entire situation when it unfolded. And you can find out bits and details through different testimony and also animations that you can still find on the internet. Supposed animations, official animations that were supposed to be some sort of proof, but proved nothing except all sort of tomfoolery, right? You need to know where Assistant Principal Jeff Morford was at, because he was, in a sense, if this was real in any sort of sense, if children were being massacred, if that was the case, Jeffrey Morford dropped the ball like you wouldn't believe, like I've never seen before. Dropped the ball, absolutely did nothing. He was pretty much, he should have been tasked, him and Kelvin Greenleaf, to go to the camera room and find out where the shooter's at. All right, you're gonna want to know where the shooter's at. If you're hearing shots being fired out off in a building and you don't know where, you need to find out where the shooter's at. All right, so Scott Peterson allegedly would have had to tell Jeffrey Morford and Kelvin Greenleaf, one or the other, to go to the damn camera room and find out. Meanwhile, they just did nothing for like 30 minutes while children were allegedly bleeding out. All right, that is key. Period. And nobody ever brings them up except in passing. And isn't that funny? One thing that I would want to ask, and the thing is, I've talked trash about them before. And, you know, sometimes I talk trash, but the thing is, I love everybody. All right. I want to talk about Meadow Pollock's father, Andrew Pollock. And I've seen him, he just went on InfoWars, you know what I'm saying, for what it's worth. He just went on InfoWars the other day. I've seen it with my man, Joe Paglia, out here in San Antonio. That's the San Antonio guy. And Andrew Pollock's been doing interviews with a whole mess of people. All right. Thing is, one thing I never heard him touch on, and I want to hear him touch on, maybe it's in his new book. He's got a new book, but I haven't read it. Maybe he touches upon it, and I need to know. All right. In fact, you need to know. We all need to know. Alexa Midnick. All right. Alexa Midnick. As it comes to find out, she was thick as thieves with Meadow Pollock. I mean, sisters for life, right? All right. So where is Alexa? How come she ain't never? How come she disappeared off of the map and never to be seen again? Right? How come she's never said anything ever again? I mean, her best friend in the whole world was killed that day, and of course, I mean, if you were to take things for face value, she had no idea when she did that interview that's become world famous, and everybody's talked about it. And it makes me wonder why Andrew Pollock hasn't talked about it. Maybe it's in his book. I want to find out. It makes me wonder about Alexa Midnick. I mean, she might not have known at the time, but she certainly found out her best friend in the whole world was shot 9 times or something like that. All right, so I want to hear more from Alexa Midnick, and if not from her, I want to hear from Andrew Pollock about Alexa Midnick. I want to hear it. All right, everybody should want to hear that. Everybody should. I mean, well, I mean, David Hogg and his gang of merry men and stuff, they all fell off the map anyways. Nobody cares what they're saying. All right, they're still trying to make themselves relevant on Twitter, and it's damn ridiculous. Another point that I wanted to point out before we get up out of here is that, okay, maybe it's all simulation. Maybe it's all 100% hoax. Maybe they got Nicholas Cruz up in hiding, which would be the shooter, allegedly. Maybe they got him up in hiding and he's playing like Xbox somewhere and just having a good old time. I doubt it. I think he's up in the county jail. You might say I'm a fool for thinking that. No, I mean, it really seems like he's up in the county jail, whether it's a simulation or not. It seems like he's up in there and he ain't getting out either until he goes to prison. All right, so I want to think about that and go back. Here's the thing: if this is all simulation, it was absolutely poorly done. If this is 100% hoax, it was that nobody planned it for nothing. If you look at all the other mass shootings and stuff, you'll come to find out that, oh yeah, people are from Antifa or this and that, and they always have these super leftist ideas and stuff like that. Before they go shooting up everybody, they feel sorry for themselves and stuff like that. There's some beta males or whatever you call it. I wouldn't say MGTOW, but they just can't get no ladies. That's what it seems like. And that almost applies to Nicholas Cruz. But at the same time, Nicholas Cruz very, very much differs, unless everybody's lying. He very much differs from those other shooters. And in that, Nicholas Cruz seems to be allegedly someone who stands up for the gun rights of Americans, which coincidentally I do too. Right? In fact, a lot of people do. Nicholas Cruz seems to like that whole idea. He seems to like America. For some reason, he seemed to like Donald Trump. For some reason, he seemed to like Ron DeSantis and all that. You know what I'm saying? I forget what's the other guy's name, but you know who I'm talking about, that bald head guy, the senator, Rick Scott. He seemed to like all those people for some reason. And that really doesn't go with the narrative. Not at all. Why would a mass shooter be advocating for gun rights? Meanwhile, but before this all ever came out, before that started to leak out, you'll remember if you were, there watching the situation unfold and stuff, you remember how they sincerely, desperately wanted to paint Nicholas Cruz as a white supremacist and a racist, right? And they did so without shame for weeks and weeks, even though, I mean, it's clear as day that he's not, even though. So it's like, why would they go to the trouble of paint him out as a white supremacist and a racist when it clearly came out that he wasn't, and none of that adds up, all right? My deal is because they wanted to paint him out as more guilty than he even seemed. And why did they want to do that? It leads me to believe that this situation did play out. There was all sort of tomfoolery. Maybe Nicholas Cruz got tricked into doing something he didn't want to do. And meanwhile, there's all sort of, like dudes, how it seems to come out, there's these dudes in black clothes and, black hats, and they're carrying around all sort of weaponry, and they pop up and stuff. And yeah, they're talked about by witnesses, but ain't nobody talked about on the news, all right? That's why I tend to believe it's half hoax, half not a hoax. That people actually did get hurt, but it wasn't really Nicholas Cruz doing it. Meanwhile, Nicholas Cruz was literally talking to Alexa Midnick during the whole situation. How can you be shooting up the school and talking to Alexa Midnick? If this was a 100% hoax, why would Alexa Midnick open up her dumb mouth and say these things when they absolutely don't add up and they don't go with the official narrative. I mean, her best friend is Meadow Pollock. If it was a 100% hoax, then you figure they would have gotten together and got their stories straight. You would have figured that. All right. If it's a 100% hoax, I still don't understand why Andrew Pollock would be such an advocate for the Second Amendment. And I know there's people out there, and God bless y'all and stuff. I love y'all out there who say, "Oh man, you know, they were building this up for decades and stuff like that." And Andrew Pollock is a plant, but I'm just saying he's not a good one. It's not a good one. All right. Anyway, so we're going to be following that situation and many other situations as time goes on. There's links below to my other channel. There's links below to Joseph Callan. There's also links below to my man, Bart Fine. He gets censored all the time. He gets deleted all the time and banned all the time just because he be uploading Alex Jones. There's something about it that people don't want you to know about it. All right. Anyways, I'll holler at y'all, and I appreciate y'all. It is September the 25th, 2019.